I'm Greg D. Doug. I started working at a public policy think tank. I've met really fun, smart people working to solve big problems. I asked some of them if they'd come talk about their work and how good public policy makes the world a better place. And all they asked for in return was pizza. We're back with another episode of Policy Pizza. This week we have Donald Bryson, president of the John Locke Foundation.
Hey Greg, how's it going?
Not too bad. Donald takes us on his journey and shows why agriculture policy is vital to the future. How'd you get involved with the public policy?
I've always been interested in politics. Of course, we're not a political organization. Public policy is born out of politics, and it's always interested me. Even when I was in college, I participated in the policy debate team. But really what happened was the Great Recession came on. I was unemployed, I was trying to finish school, and I saw an ad for an internship at the Hope Center for Higher Education Policy. That's now the James G. Martin Center for Academic Renewal.
Yeah, and we'll put the link to that organization in the comments.
Yeah, and they had an ad for a paid internship for $8 an hour. And I applied, I interviewed, and they gave me the job. And I literally ran all around my backyard with $8 an hour. I was so excited. There, I had a good connection with Daryl Allison, who was president for Parents for Educational Freedom in North Carolina at the time. They hired me on part-time while I was still doing my internship. So I was working those two jobs and going to school, and then they hired me on full-time at Parents for Educational Freedom when my internship ended. And I think I had 5 job titles in 3 years at Parents for Educational Freedom. And from there I went and did grassroots work at Americans for Prosperity, where we talked about school choice but also talked about tax policy, and became state director in 2014, became the CEO and president of the Civitas Institute. So obviously I've not specialized in any particular area of public policy.
Yeah.
But I've been around it, done some fundraising on it, done the communications work, done the operations work. Well, so I'm sort of a jack of all trades, but a master of none.
There you go. But you've got these organizations and you've gotten them moving and growing, and that's something amazing.
I've just been in the right places at the right time. I've been very blessed with a lot of opportunity. There aren't many people who can say, hey, things messed up, life happened, I wasn't able to finish my college degree, which I wasn't, and yet I'm still running a think tank with lots of really smart people who have advanced degrees, multiple advanced degrees.
But that's like the Elon Musk quote that I didn't go to Harvard, but I hired people from Harvard.
That's right.
Yeah. Like, what are some things in agriculture, like why do you think that's important now for people to pay attention to agriculture policy?
If you look at the consumer price index, the consumer price index is itemized, and you see things like energy, cars, food. They break down food into 2 categories, including food at home, which is groceries.
Right.
Food at home prices have increased year over year 13%.
Wow.
Well beyond the overall inflation rate.
Yeah.
And people really start to notice that when they go and they want to buy frozen burgers at the grocery store or ham to make sandwiches with or whatever. It's starting to really impact people's pocketbooks. I started noticing it when we went into COVID. Some things just didn't make sense. There were shortages of meat and eggs, and there were empty shelves, and that doesn't happen in America. We don't have empty shelves here. We're not Soviet Russia, right? So what's happening? Why are there breakdowns in our food supply chain? And the more I looked into it, the more I realized, there are some real problems. We don't have redundancies like every other part of the economy does. There's a term that people use in public choice economics that I think is really the crux of this conversation, called regulatory capture. It's the point that businesses have gotten so big in one part of the economy that they are able to capture the regulation of it, and that they are able to help craft the regulation of it, and they capture the market and push everyone else out. And food, in a lot of ways, particularly meat processing, but other parts of the food system in America, have reached a state of regulatory capture.
So maybe think tanks and consumers haven't been paying attention to agriculture policy, but other people have.
Other people definitely have. The problem is, unlike Captain Planet, they have not combined their powers with that sweet green mullet, right? But they have not combined their powers to, make our food systems more resilient.
Whoa, Benny's. Yes. This should be enough. Well, that was good.
Right. It was very good. It was also very big. That's a massive pizza.
So you were talking about grains.
The federal government has incentivized people to grow lots of grain, corn, soybeans, and other things, to convert it into, distill it and convert it into biodiesel or some sort of biofuel, ethanol, something like that. And so, yes, the state of North Carolina doesn't have anything to do with that policy from the federal government. But because of that policy, something like 44% of all soybeans grown in America go into gas tanks somewhere. And it's nearly 40%, I think something like 36% of all corn grown in America goes into gas tanks somewhere.
Crazy.
That is stuff that is not going into other food products. Corn and grains and all that go into so many different parts of our supply chain. It displaces wheat, it displaces other grains. It also feeds our swine, it feeds our cattle, it feeds our chickens. Those prices are going up. And so it has really thrown the food market for a loop. On top of that, state governments, almost every state has some sort of policy to either incentivize people to invest in or use some sort of biofuel, thus exacerbating the problem of the federal government. We need food to actually be grown to be used for human consumption. We have lots of other ways to power cars. Biofuels can be marginally cleaner, but we're also finding that there are non-food plants that you can convert into biofuels that don't go into food, right? Duckweed. You ever go around like a pond and see like this little grass plant growing top? The whole top of the pond looks green. That's not pond scum, it's duckweed.
Okay.
And you can take that, convert that into biodiesel. Switchgrass.
Right.
We use switchgrass converted to higher quality ethanol than corn 20 years ago. But switchgrass doesn't have federal subsidies. Corn does. But why though? And it's these sort of policies that we're going to have to start wading into at the state policy level and then also at the federal level.
Donald, thank you so much. This was a very educational, delicious pizza. You ready to head back?
I'm ready to head back. Next time we do this, let's get a smaller pizza. But yeah, I'm ready to head back to the office.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Policy Pizza. Don't forget to like our videos and subscribe to the John Locke Foundation. And as always, visit johnlocke.org for more agriculture policy.